In this tutorial, I'm going to cover how to set up etckeeper on your Ubuntu server with Gitlab. By using etckeeper on your Ubuntu server, it allows you to track any configuration changes that you make over time. Therefore, if you mess up when making a change to the server, you can revert back to that change without having to make a backup copy of each configuration file that you make a change to. In my scenario, I use virtual machines, and sometimes the virtual machines have problems starting up, so I end up having to create a new virtual machine. However, if you don't have those configuration files, then you have to set up everything that you had previously on the virtual machine back up all over again. If you make a change on one server and you have multiple servers that are in a single cluster, then all you have to do is make the change, commit it to your Git repository, then push that repository up to the central server, and then on the other machines, pull that repository back down. Let's get started with setting everything up. First, you'll need to set up and install etckeeper as well as Git. So we're going to use sudo apt-get update and run that. And if prompted for sudo password, enter that. Alright, next we're going to install etckeeper. So, and also Git. So you're going to use sudo apt-get install etckeeper and also install Git. Now I already have these set up on my system, but if you did not have these, it would download and install these packages. Alright, next we're going to go to Gitlab, and the instructions are similar for Gitlab and GitHub. You just have to make the differentiating clicks to get to the same items. Alright, so I have a new project page pulled up, and I'm going to name this project the name of my server. So the name of my server is Blueprint, and then put Etsy so that I know that it's for this, since we're only tracking the Etsy folder, and then give it a description. Alright, and I'm going to make this a private project. However, if you choose, you can make it either internal or a public project. And then you click Create Project. Alright, and now your repository is created, and it gives you the SSH command. We will come back to this in a second. Alright, going back to our terminal window, we will now need to log in as the root user. So you use sudo su. Alright, and then go back to the root directory, root home directory, excuse me, and then we will run SSH keygen, because you need an SSH key in order to be able to push your changes up to Gitlab. And it's going to ask us several questions. So it's asking where you want to save the file. The default location is fine. It's going to ask if you want to enter in a passphrase. I normally do not enter in a passphrase. However, if you want to, you can. And then confirm that passphrase again. And then it has generated the key in this location. And this is the private key. It's also generated a public key. And what you'll need is to copy the public key and place that into Gitlab. So we will go to that directory. I'm already in the root directory, so I will cd to the .ssh directory, and then I will cat the IDA file, the public key file, and this is what you will need to copy. So select it, copy, and then go back, and in your user settings there's the SSH keys page. You'll paste the key here, and then you will name it. And so the title I have is the user at the server name, so I know what key goes to what. And then you will click add key, and now the key has been placed. Alright, so now that you can go back we will go to the etc directory, and then we can run git status here, and we see that all of our changes are committed to the repository, and there's nothing new to commit. So going back to your project page, the SSH command that's given here, or URL rather, you'll need to copy this and go back to your terminal window and do git remote-v, and that will list all the remote repositories that you have available. No repositories are showing, so nothing is there. So we will add this repository. So do git remote add origin, and then you'll place that command that was available on the web page. So it's git at Gitlab with all the repository name, and then you're going to confirm that the repository has been added as a remote system, and then you're going to run git push origin master, and it's going to ask you if you want to accept the key. You will type in yes, and then the code, or excuse me, the configuration that you have in your etc directory currently will be pushed up to the repository, and depending on how much software you have installed, this may take a while. So we see that everything has been pushed, and we have a new branch pushed into the repository. So we can go back to GitLab, and if we refresh this page, it will show all of our configuration files and when they were committed. The final thing that we will do is put in a cron job so that the push happens on a regular basis. Therefore, you won't have to manually do a push. So we will use cron tab for that. So type in cron tab -e, and remember, you still have to remain logged in as the root user for this, since the root is the only user that has full access to the etc directory. And so I'm going to set mine to run once per week. However, you can set it to run more often if necessary. And so the command that I'm going to put in is to cd to etc, and then $ampersand, and then git push origin master. And then I'm going to close that parentheses out, and I'm going to write this to a log file. And so I'm going to write it to var log, and then call it etcpush.log. And to make sure all the errors or everything else is being tracked in the same log file, I'm going to use the two greater than $1, which will put the error output into the standard log output, and therefore everything will be in a single log file. Alright, once that's done, you will save your changes, and if you have not screwed up your cron tab file, it will complete successfully. Otherwise, you will see an error that shows up here. If this tutorial has been helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more videos and be notified of when they are released, please subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.